Okay, so we've talked about all these properties of water and why water is so unique for our planet. We're going to move on now and talk about how how water is distributed on our planet and how this just distribution of water is actually the reason why we're so limited with our fresh water. So we have a ton of water on our planet. A lot of people mentioned that when we were talking about resources in the energy unit, that water seems to be a renewable resource because we have so much of it. So we do have a ton of water, but the issue with how it's distributed, so how it's laid out on our planet, is that we really have a ton of water but only a limited supply of fresh water that we can actually drink. Okay, so this goes with the middle chunk of your notes sheet. So water does cover more than 70% of Earth's surface, so there's tons of water on our planet. Even within living things, including people, we are made up of more than 50% water. So there's tons of water in living things on our planet as well. So water is a huge thing in our world. So we call the area where any water is found the hydrosphere. So the hydrosphere is made up of all the water found on, above, and under Earth's surface. So anywhere that there's water, we can call that area a part of the hydrosphere. Okay. So most of the water that's on the planet is liquid. Okay, most of it is in the liquid form. So as we go through this data, this information, I want you on your notes somewhere to try to draw out a pie chart, this is a chart, to represent the data. Okay, so you're going to have one pie chart to start with, and you're going to split it up 97% and 3%. So you're just going to have two sections of the pie chart. So 97% of the water on our planet is salt water. 97%. Salt water. We cannot drink salt water. We really can't use it for much of anything. Okay? 3% of the water is fresh water. So that's the type of water we can use to live, okay, to drink. So that's your first pie chart. Now we're going to break down the fresh water. So let's make another pie chart just for fresh water. So you're going to split it up. 69% of our fresh water is frozen. So it's either icebergs, glaciers, which is a mass of ice and snow that is actually slowly moving, snow, or permafrost. Okay, so all these are different types of frozen water. So 69% of our fresh water is frozen. 30% of our fresh water is found as groundwater, and we're going to go into more detail in a second with what groundwater is. And then only 1% of our fresh water is found in lakes and rivers and water vapor in the atmosphere. Okay? So that's of our fresh water, which again, only 3% of all of our water is fresh water. Okay? So really the only part that is accessible, the part that we can easily use for drinking water, is this groundwater, 30% groundwater, and then our 1% in lakes and rivers and water vapor. So even though it seems like there's a ton of water on the planet, the biggest issue is that a lot of it we can't use. A lot of it is salt water, a lot of it is frozen. We can really only get access to the slightest bit of fresh drinking water. Okay, so hopefully your pie charts looked something like this. Your first one, 97% of our water is in ocean, salt water, and 3% is fresh water. Then of our fresh water, 69 to 70% is frozen, 29 to 30% is underground in groundwater, and then 1% in lakes and rivers and water vapor. Okay. So basically, the key thing that these charts tell us is that we don't have a ton of drinking water accessible to us. We just can't access, we can't get a lot of water to drink. Okay? So I wanted to go into what groundwater is, because you may have heard that term, but you don't really know exactly what that means. So groundwater is just water located below the Earth's surface, so it may seem like how can we drink that water? It is actually fresh water, and once we can pump it out, we can filter it and use it for drinking water. So groundwater collects as surface water, moves down through soil and sediment, and collects in spaces underground. Okay, so usually it's in underground rock. You can see in this picture, it's this water within the rock. and it kind of moves through the rock layers very slowly. And we can use pumps to kind of get that water out and then filter it to use for drinking water. Okay, so those were your notes for how our water is distributed on Earth.